Hello and welcome to my channel. So I have to be honest with you because I enjoy being honest with you guys. I definitely was not sure of what video I wanted to make next. And so I had shot maybe like 10 or so different videos that I could edit down and use to create content with. And I actually had one uploaded and ready to go. And then this happened.
I just felt like it would be a little bit better to take a back seat, work on my mindfulness, and I knew that the girls would do an absolutely great job, and I didn't want to risk the team a medal for kind of my screw-ups because they've worked way too hard for that.
And I was like, stop the presses. I need to talk about this. So I'm gonna talk about this from a couple of different angles. The first angle is from someone who is a fan, especially of Simone Biles, of gymnastics, of the Olympics. I love it. The second from someone who at one point suffered from severe performance anxiety and almost cost her team an award because she didn't listen to herself and didn't honor her own mental health. So let's first talk about how much I love Simone Biles. I love gymnastics. To me, gymnastics and then like competitive dance and cheer are the only real sports. I will take no comments or arguments on this. It is the artistry for me when it comes to gymnastics. It's the strength that it requires. We can all agree that Simone Biles is, she is that girl. She is the queen of gymnastics. She's the GOAT. And so I always get so excited when I see her perform. I loved this article, this magazine cover, that she got to do for Glamour magazine. And yeah, I was really into watching her go into this new season of the Olympics and watching her take home the gold again and just indulging in some great Simone performances, especially at her age. I think she's like 23 or 24, and normally we think of gymnastics as like an under college age sport. So like girls from maybe you're like 16 all the way to maybe about 21, and then after that it's like, okay, you gotta retire. But I love that Simone is like 24 years old. She owns her own house, actually like maybe 45 minutes away from where I live in Texas. And yeah, I love watching her do her thing. And so when this news story came out earlier today, actually, I was really hurt. I was probably more hurt than I should have been for somebody that really has no like irons in the fire, no dog in the fight in this situation. How I feel is not going to affect what she does. How I feel is not going to affect how the Olympics unfold. But it's always kind of jarring to see people that you put on a pedestal remind us that they're human too. We saw this earlier this year with not only with Sha'Carri Richardson and her admitting, hey, I went through some deep grief and I had to do what I could to try and deal with it. And it got me in a certain position related to the Olympics, and I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not a human being. I'm capable of great things, but I'm also human. But we also saw this with Naomi Osaka, and I'm gonna be honest with you. When Naomi Osaka said she wasn't gonna go to, I believe it was Wimbledon, because she was honoring her mental health, I was not supportive, and I'll tell you why. Naomi Osaka said it's social anxiety. She doesn't want to do the interviews, and since she can't get out of doing the interviews, she just won't go. And I thought to myself, you haven't worked no jobs where you're really super anxious. Like, you've never worked a double on Mother's Day at a family seafood restaurant. Like, you've never had to go in and teach a classroom of 40 kids and the copy machine broke that day and you gotta just like improv that whole thing. You don't know what it's like to have to, I'm just sort of thinking about all the jobs I've had in my life that are super high stress and required me to do so much more than just sit and talk on a microphone. Also, none of the jobs that I've ever had that have been really high stress have garnered me as much money as someone can make for going out, playing tennis, and then sitting down and answering questions on a microphone. I respected her decision to say, okay, if I can't do this, if it's not accepted, then I'm just gonna walk. But I didn't understand it. However, when Simone said, I'm gonna withdraw from this event because I could let my team down and I don't wanna do that, I understood it. I respected it. And in retrospect, it allowed me to give a little bit more grace to Naomi, which again, it doesn't matter how I feel because she's still going to be a millionaire without my opinions, and she gonna keep going. The reason why what Simone did resonated with me is I've mentioned before that I used to be a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader in college. I was a cheerleader in high school. And my college cheer career was a big part of why I chose the college that I wanted to go to, because I loved cheering so much when I was a kid. And I got to college and I got on the cheerleading team. And the second I got on the cheerleading team, I started to have really, really bad anxiety related to literally any skill that I would try and do. Particularly, there's a skill that people do in cheer called a standing back tuck. Particularly that, and they do it in gymnastics too. That skill took me out. It was something that I could do with my eyes closed when I was in high school, but I got to college and my brain just fell apart regarding that. And I started making lots of mistakes and started being really, really unreliable. And I probably shouldn't have even made it to the team that went to NCAA Nationals that year, but other people got hurt. They said they didn't want to do it. They had to step out, and boop, I was there. And also at a certain point in the year, one of my other teammates kind of stepped in and she was like, I'm going to help you be more consistent. Come work out with me at my gym, because she was a cheer coach. And she really did help me. Like, I went from not really having any consistency and like form to developing consistency, developing form, and becoming an overall better performer because she came in to work with me. However, when we finally did get to nationals, I reverted back. I got scared again. And I remember walking into the gym, the place where we had to do like an exhibition performance or something like that. And I remember doing a back tuck and touching out of it. That's when you put your hands down on the ground. It's called a touch out. And I remember getting nervous. And someone said to me, are you okay? Like, what's going on? How do you feel? And I said, I feel fine. I'm good. It was not fine. I did not feel good. And at one point, the girl who had taken me to her gym to like train me, she looked at me and she goes, you're not in the right space for this. And I was like, oh, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. So we get out there on the floor. We're at Daytona Beach. And the thing about NCAA Nationals is it's actually broadcasted by ESPN. And I don't know if my particular team was on ESPN that year. I've been afraid for 18 years now to look it up and to find out. But I do know that I went out there on that floor with the team, and we started off with something called a triple toe back, 3 toe touches going into a back tuck. And I went out with so much nervous energy and just not feeling confident for whatever reason. I was just not in the right headspace. And I did the skill and I went for the back tuck, and I landed so badly that I sprung forward into like a push-up position. It wasn't just, I touched out. Like, I could have gotten hurt. And, I recuperated and I went on to do other skills, but I was so mad at myself for falling out of that I got into a stunt. And I gave up. I gave up out there on the floor. And I remember when the performance was over, we had to wait a little bit to find out what we were going to be, because the team that I cheered on, they were the returning champions from like a previous year. So they were back to reclaim their title. And we had to wait a little bit longer to see what our award was going to be. And I remember just thinking, if we lose because of me, I will never forgive myself. And I really feel like, if the God above was like, it's going to be too much for her if these people lose. So I think the judges that day were maybe he touched their heads and they forgot how I fell out of that, because I think I wasn't the only one that fell either. Another person fell, and then of course the horrible job I was doing stunting affected the team. But we ended up winning. We were first place national champions again. I still have my little jacket that I never wear, but I still have it. And we also, one of the big reasons we won was we had great choreography, and so we won a grand championship for our choreography. But I saw the way that it affected how people on the team looked at me it really, really affected how my coach looked at me, which broke my heart because he was always super supportive of me, super complimentary. He just believed in me so much from the first moment he met me. Like, my dad still tells the story of us walking in for me to try out and my coach being like, she's really good. But from that moment on, our relationship was never the same. It was destroyed, and I only ended up cheering for an additional semester after that, which prematurely kind of ended this run that I saw myself having. I saw myself cheering all the way through college and, doing cheer camps in the summer and maybe cheering, for a professional team, just making like dance and performance in that vein more of something I did. And after that performance, I was not comfortable viewing myself as a cheerleader anymore. Like, to let my team down, I took it so personal and I was so hurt. And I remember my coach did express eventually how he really felt about it. He was so angry. And it was just something that, like, to this day, I still haven't forgiven myself for, and it's been almost 20 years. So when I saw that Simone had stepped down and she said, if I go out there like this with my head all in disarray and I take my team out there and I cost them something, I'll never forgive myself. And so I don't want to do it. I was like, she's still the GOAT for realizing that her mental state was more important than her ego. And that is, it takes a big person to be able to do that. And like I said, once I saw what Simone had done, it caused me to review my opinion of Naomi and her choice that she had made. And while I've never been in Naomi's situation, so I don't have general social anxiety, I can't really empathize with that. And I think that's what caused me to not really think so much of her situation and to really be like, hey, you need to just chin up and go and do it. I can definitely empathize with realizing on the day of a performance or going into something that your mind's not there. For whatever reason, you don't have the head that you need to have, and you going forward could cost all these other people who have worked so hard something serious. But yeah, I am sad that this is how this Olympics is going for her, because it might be her last one. But at the same time, I think right now we are, as a society, much more forgiving when it comes to mental health, and nobody can ever take away from her how good she is and what a beautiful job she's done representing this sport for the United States, and a sport that I really love so much. I'm not kidding when I tell people if I ever get any money, I am straight up going to adopt, and we are going to train so that they can be gymnasts. And if they tell me they want to play soccer or something, it'll break my heart, but I'll go along with it. But yeah, it is my favorite thing to watch, and she's still my favorite gymnast, even when she has to take a mental health break. All right, I just wanted to make a quick video about this. I will upload the video I actually wanted to make tomorrow. But yeah, thanks for watching.